Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the One Nation of Gamers Summer Circuit. This is the EU qualifier number 2, the qualifier finals. Once again, I'm Osmo Kitty or TJ, and I'm joined by Aquablad. 2-3-0s today, man. It's been quick so far.
Yeah, both of the players who have won have shown us really convincing play. I mean, Mirari just wow, he showed some incredible play. His zoo play was exceptionally good as well because he had a game plan with his deck and
Hmm.
he stuck to it and he came out on top. And KDG again showing some excellent play, especially with his rogue. But now we have the two losers. One will go home with no cash, and one will take away $50.
Yeah, and it's going to be Buckbeard taking on Tom 60229. And both these players had different approaches to their matches that they lost. Buckbeard stuck with the mid-range hunter throughout the whole time and lost all three matches with it. So we only know one of his decks. Whereas Tom 60229, he actually played all three of his decks. He lost once with each one, so he decided to switch every time he lost. So we do know what's in all of his decks. So a little bit different approach from these players. And I'm curious to see who's going to come out of this one because I don't know what kind of mage that is. Uh, I don't know what kind of word this is. I'd imagine it's patron warrior. I'd imagine it's tempo mage because that seems to be more popular than freeze. But we have seen mech today. I don't know. It's been sort of a crazy two matches so far.
I think the one thing Buckbeard does have a slight advantage over Tom if the both players have been watching the other matches, because Buckbeard has more information on Tom, so he has the opportunity here to kind of prepare himself. He knows there's a Harrison in the Druid. He's seen a few things from the handlock as well. It looked pretty standard, the handlock. There wasn't too much out of the ordinary there, and same with the Patron Warrior. But he does know that Harrison's there, so that might make him a bit more cautious when he comes if he has to play the patron or whatever warrior he's playing versus
Yeah.
druid. Whereas Tom only knows about the mid hunter, and nothing seemed out the ordinary with that. It was more classic mid hunter from what I could see than Mirari's approach was, which was more aggressive. I think it was. I don't know. He was running explosive and freezing, so maybe he was more classic mid as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have to see what this mage and warrior. It could be control warrior, it could be freeze mage. We don't know yet.
Yeah. One thing that he can learn is Buckbeard was playing snake traps, which is
Oh
something
yeah,
that, if you know about, is a pretty big advantage because you can go through that process of elimination a little bit smoother without having to worry about it. He can say, okay, well, he's got freezing and snake, so I don't really have to worry about explosive. I can check how I want to check. But it looks like it is going to be. I don't know. I don't know what kind of mage that is. Okay, it's Tempo Mage. I saw the Flame Strike and I was thinking, that's interesting. Like a lot of times, Tempo Mages don't run Flame Strike, especially the faster ones with Flame Wakers. But Buckhead, Buckbeard does run Flame Strikes with this mage.
yeah. Well, his opening hand was like Forest on Flame Strike Scientist. That was pretty much a freeze mage opening hand as far as we knew.
But then he had a
But
Mirror Entity as well, and I was like, oh wait, what?
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, just mixing up those secrets maybe to throw his
Yeah.
opponent off guard. But we see this unstable ghoul again, and it's going to be able to take out this mad scientist here if it wants to. But we'll have to see what Buckbeard how he decides to respond. I think playing the Sorcerer's Apprentice here is a bit clunky. I mean, he can't deal with the unstable ghoul without pinging it. So that might just be his line of play here, just to get rid of that before it starts doing any more damage.
Yeah, the Flame Cannon is pretty important because it allows you to take out like Frothing Berserker play right on turn 3 or a Gnomish Inventor. Um, it's more important than just being thrown away on an unstable ghoul that you can trade into anyway. And sometimes you are happy to just trade in the Mad Scientist because it allows you to get value out of the secret before you draw the secret. So it reduces the chance that you draw into Mirror Entity the next turn, which means you're more likely to get a better draw. Even though it's earlier in the game, and the likelihood that you draw Mirror Entity is not that high anyway, it still sometimes can feel good to get the Mad Scientist secret out of the way.
So he opts to Flame Cannon the 2/2 here, which, I don't know, it's not going to play into his favour here. So he's got a 2/4 to deal with, and he could have saved that if he just went for the trade. But I think what he was thinking was playing around Fiery Warak so he could just keep some of his board. But looking here, he's just going to go face. This Northshire Cleric's going to be able to maybe get a 2-for-1, but it's going to be quite a slow 2-for-1.
Yeah, so this is a slower tempo mage. It runs Sludge Belchers, Flame Strikes. This is probably the version that runs Rag as well, I'm guessing. And it runs Piloted Shredders in that 4 slot instead of Mechanical Yetis. Mechanical Yetis are usually run because of the spare part synergy with both Archmage Antonidas and with Flame Wakers. But Piloted Shredders are stickier and usually harder to deal with in the fullest, so usually run in the slower versions of it.
Unfortunately for Buckbeard, though, it being stickier didn't really pay off because he got an Ancient Watch out of it, which is a dead card, really, unless he runs any silence. And if he did have the Mechanical Yetis, he might have had a Taunt Activator. So
yeah, a Rusty Horn.
So yeah, that's a bit unfortunate for Buckbeard, getting a bit more of that bad luck, which he's been kind of cursed with this tournament. But yeah, we'll have to see how he decides to deal with the board here.
At least he gets a chance to play another deck. Last time he opened with the Hunter, and this time, who knows? He might lose 3 games with the Tempo Mage. No, I'm just joking. I think he has a good shot, but right now it doesn't look like he's in that great of a position. He sort of lost the tempo. He's having to sort of inefficiently trade in with these creatures that are on the board, and so Frostbolting the Face. This is a play that I really like when you're playing Tempo Mage or you're playing like Mech Mage against Patron Warrior. Is just trying to make their turns difficult. You know that he's probably setting up for a power play on anything after turn 5. So you Frostbolt the Face when he's got that second Deathbite charge. Probably means that he's not going to do anything on that turn. He's just going to hold back.
Yeah, he was. I think Tom had a good response to all of this. So he had an execute. Like I said, I did like that play as well. Looking at that Deathbite for a turn, just so he doesn't get just spawn a couple of patrons. But he was able to set up his War Song here.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Well,
he has a Flame Strike.
Oh yeah, that's okay. So if he didn't have Flame Strike, I would not have played Sludge Belcher. I would have pinged past before I played Sludge Belcher. Because with Death's Bite, it's basically you're giving him a free patron. Especially he just played Warsong Commander. You know that he's setting up for something next turn.
He's going to get a lot of patrons here, but ultimately it's not really going to matter. Well, the damage to the face, it's going to hurt him, but he's going to be able to get a clean sweep here. And with a Dr. Boom to follow it straight after, Tom doesn't really have a lot going after this.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be able to put, what is this, 14 damage on the face? He's going to put him at 16, I think.
I'm sure Buckbeard's grinning right now, sitting with that Flame Strike in hand. He did take half his health, though. That's what it cost him.
Yeah, I forgot about the 2 damage from the Warsong Commander. 14 health.
Ooh. That's something Patron never wants to see. All that work, all that effort, gone.
All that skill. Well, he does set up for lethal next turn regardless. So, yeah, I think that's game. Yeah, he doesn't have a way to kill this. Even if he whirlwinds, and the Boombots both have to hit for 4 on the Grom. Because I'm sure he's going to play Dr. Boom this turn. I think it's his only play.
Yeah, he has to. He has to rely on those Boombots doing some work. And like you said, it's too... Well, yeah, how do you... Yeah, this is a big gamble. I mean, but it's his only option.
This is so unlikely. All he has to do is... The only way he wins is if he whirlwinds in both... Okay, he's going to try and do it this way. Alright. Yeah, there we go. That's the less riskier play. Because there's a 50-50 that he just wins the game, and a 50-50 that just nothing happens. So he had the Whirlwind as backup. And he knew that if the first Boombot hit face, he could Whirlwind knowing that the second Boombot wouldn't do anything. So killing both separately was actually the way to go. That's actually really smart. Really smart play by Tom to do it that way, to sequence it that way. And it was a very small chance that he lost regardless. But really good sequencing.
So the Sludge Belcher play there from Buckbeard potentially was what cost him the game there. The Sludge Belcher play allowed Tom to deal half of his health or just over half of his health, and set up for that Grom kill. So let's
Yeah.
just say if he had fireballed the Warstorm Commander instead, he might have had more of a chance to actually win that game. He was at 30 health, there was
Yeah.
no combo coming, and he had a Dr. Boom coming up. So
Yeah.
you could call that a misplay, I guess, but I guess he had to. I think he should have figured out how much it would cost to flame strike that board. Did he calculate that it cost him half his health?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
It's rough because he could have set up a big board of patrons the next turn without charging them, and he would have been able to deal with the flame strike. So I'm sure he'll be thinking about that play. I'm sure if he loses a series, it'll be haunting him a little bit. But he's going to keep it in the next match. It is going to be mid-range hunter versus Tom's handlock.
So mid-range hunter generally has a better time versus handlock than its other variations. But this match very much depends on how much tempo the hunter gets at the start. Because if the handlock can kind of deal with the hunter from the beginning, I think it gets just harder and harder for the hunter as things go on. Because it starts to sustain with belchers and all sorts of stuff, and they have to start throwing hunter's marks around and silences. And then when the giants come down with the big taunt giants come down, it can be very hard for the hunter to deal with. But on the other hand, the hunter gets good enough pressure from the start. The handlock becomes very vulnerable to like kill commands and quick shots and stuff like that. So it could go either way, this matchup. I think it's about 50-50, maybe 60-40 in the handlock's favor, depending on what tech cards he has.
Yeah. The mid-range hunter, face hunter like deals consistent damage every single turn. So you know that you're going to hit your Moltons, and you're going to be able to hit those big walls. But mid-range hunter has a chance to build up a big board, just deal with your board, and then kill you in like one turn with like a high main swing, a pilot shredder swing, a kill command, and a quick shot. So it can be tough. Micro Machines actually kind of annoying because you want to deal with it right away. You can't like leave it alone because it'll trade up really, really efficiently.
He's contemplating the snake trap here. Because he probably knows that Tom is going to want to trade it into this Micro Machine. So maybe he wants to get some snake value going, because then he can set up a Hindmaster if he wants, or he can just go for the high main. But I think he's gone for the Shredder over that because he just wants the high main next turn. So maybe if he didn't have the high main, the snake trap might have been a bit better, just to give some Hindmaster synergy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was going to trade into it no matter what, so he would have had those snakes if he wanted them.
I really like the snake trap there, because you know that a power play is coming up. You have Hunter's Mark in your hand. You know that he's going to trade into the Micro Machine, which is going to leave the Twilight Drake at 1 health. So it either forces him to AoE, or it forces him to not play a big threat, or he plays a big threat anyway. You deal with it easily with Hunter's Mark, and you play your high main anyway because it's turn 6. I really would have liked the snake trap there.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. And he also had the option of Hindmaster and a snake if you want to, with a shot if you wanted to go that. He had more.
Yeah, very true.
I think he has more stable plays this turn if he had gone for the snake trap, whereas now it's a bit clunky. I mean, he could Hounds now, he could clear these 2 guys, which is fine, but then he's got free mana. You know, what do you do with that free mana? Do you just shot and pass? It seems a bit suboptimal.
Yeah.
But it actually looks like he's just going for the high main here. Just slam that high main.
So interesting, the lineup choices here. I mean, he has to be thinking of something. Like, what? There has to be something that he's playing around, because he thought about it for a while. He moused over it and then made the decision not to play it. So.
Oh, he just goes for the face.
Yeah.
Just smoking away.
Yeah, there is a Molten, but no way to activate it. Putting him at like 1 mana below, or 1 health below his mana, so that he can't play Molten plus something else, is where you want to be. But he doesn't really have much direct damage. He does have Hunter's Mark and Unleash, which can get through a small portion of a wall. All right, let's see what's going to come out of this little guy.
Doomsayer, the one he's wanted so much from these shredders.
Yeah. I don't know if he wants it now, though.
Man, if he got Doomsayer from the shred now, I'd just be so upset.
Yeah. Even Scavenging Hyena would be great. He's been getting Scavenging Hyenas. He could trade in and then have a way to deal with this mountain giant. Oh, Kobold.
Okay, so it's KGG's favorite card. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it KGG's favorite card?
It's KDG, yeah. Ooh, kill command. 4, 9. No, not enough. But he does have Houndmaster, so he's going to be able to start pushing for damage. He's got direct damage in his hand, so he could do... he could actually do 8 damage this turn and set up for quick shot, kill command, hero power for a win next turn. The problem is he going to have a beast that survives in order to activate kill command? Does he just throw out kill command right now? But then he doesn't weave in hero power. Oh man, yeah. I think he just has to... Wow, this turn is actually really tough. This is one of those crucial turns because a lot of times you only have one opening as the mid-range hunter. You have to find a balance between like dealing damage and playing around stuff like Molten Giants and anti-heal bots. So if you put them too low and then the anti-heal bots back up and you've used too much of your burn already, then you're probably not going to win.
Yeah, this could give Tom an opportunity to say Molten Giant heal bot, and then the board just swings so heavily in Tom's favor. But if he was to commit to a kill command here, or even a Hunter's Mark, it could, like I said, he could use too much burst, and the Warlock will just sustain.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that Hunter's Mark there?
I like it because it keeps you bored, and you do get punished by Molten Taunt, but I think he might have made the read that he didn't have it because you can't really play around it too much. Leopard Gnome could be really helpful because it's sort of that extra 2 damage that you're banking for the following turn. Like it's not like it gets through taunts no matter what. It's going to do 2 damage no matter what. So it's actually a pretty good draw at this point. It's one of the only low drops that's actually good for him at this stage.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's just that extra bit of push for the Hunter to secure the game, which he kind of needs now because he's going to commit a kill command to the Sludge Belcher here, and this is one of the ways he's going to close out the game if Tom can't stabilize the board. But it's handlock, man. They have so many taunt activators, so many things that stop the Hunter from doing direct damage. So he's kill commanded this now. So he's going to commit that.
Okay. It's 1 damage off lethal. That's... Oh, no, sorry. 3 damage. I was calculating the Leopard Gnome damage already. But I still think he's in a pretty good spot. He's going to slam in for 4 here, 8 damage. He's got 5 damage from hand with just quick shot and hero power, and then 2 damage on the board guaranteed. So he sets himself up for lethal next turn if there's no heal. Like, no matter what.
This trap. I like this trap as well because Tom doesn't know what it is, and it just creates another layer of mind games.
Yeah. Ooh, he needs a heal. Oh no! I think that's it.
He can still tap into Healbot, but I don't think he'll matter now.
That's his only hope. Oh no, okay, so if he taps into Healbot, he'd be at 10 health and he'd be dead anyway. So yeah. That's it.
So finally, Buckbeard's Hunter takes that win he's been so hungry for. He fought 3 losing matches in the previous set against KDG and couldn't secure that win, so I bet he's relieved now. Finally, Hunter, you've done your job.
Yep. And finally get to win, even just a win in general, not even specifically with Hunter. So both players on the board for the first time today, tying it up 1-1. And both players sort of taking wins with the decks that it feels like they struggled with the most in their first series. So Buckbeard still has the Temple Mage remaining and Warrior that we haven't seen yet. Could be Patron Warrior, it could be Control Warrior. I'm guessing Patron.
Yeah,
because especially in open tournaments, Patron seems to be the go-to. But again, we're not going to see it yet. It's going to be Tom's Druid versus Buckbeard's Tempo Mage.
So we see an Innovate in Tom's hand. I'm sure he's happy with that. Depends what he gets in his next 2 cards. But Tempo Mage is a deck that can really just snowball out of control before Druid has any opportunity to deal with its threats.
Yeah.
And the key card in this matchup, which is in his hand, which is a bit unfortunate, is Mirror Entity. You know, we know these Druids like to drop these big minions, and they kind of try and drop them on curve from kind of turn 4 onwards. But you never want to give an aggro deck a strong minion like that, and Druids in most cases don't have any choice.
Big thing here, though, is Tom actually has Wild Growth into Innervate Emperor. But we do see that Buckbeard has Fireball to be able to answer it, so...
I like a Scientist play here.
yeah.
I mean, Mirror Entity squeezes in that 1 extra damage. You may be able to pull another minion that's quite cheap to drop with his Mana Worm, but Mad Scientist puts on the threat of Mirror Entity straight from the get-go, and then he's got that other Mirror Entity in his hand already, so he can actually set that up on a turn he wants to steal something big. So, like, going into Tom's turn 7, he could set the Mirror Entity before then, so it stops him from playing stuff like Doctor Boom or Ancient of Lore. So having that 1 Mirror Entity in hand is not that terrible, because he gets to choose when he wants to stop the Druid from playing something big and having to play around it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that it was going to be this tough of a decision. But he ends up playing the Mad Scientist instead. Unstable Portal is my favorite card in the entire game. By far. Not even close. Even if you pull something bad from it, it still feels great. Like, it's... I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
As long as it's a 2-drop or above, you can be pretty happy. It can only cost you 2 mana. Yeah, but Unstable Portal's just that crazy card that's capable of anything. It can change the dynamic of a match so heavily with some of the cards you can get.
Yeah. Oh, 2 Unstable Portals. Well, Coin Fireball is pretty much an automatic here. You don't want to leave that thing up for more than 1 turn. I mean, he can, like, coin double Unstable Portal and, like, trade in, but just Fireball is a really nice, clean way to deal with this. He can start piling on more damage, and that Emperor didn't get too much value. It basically just drew an Innervate and a half.
Yeah, it wasn't the best Emperor. It was quite early as well, which where Emperor suffers because you haven't got that giant hand. But it's still a 5/5, which is going to reduce your hand cost. It's worth playing. I'm not saying you shouldn't play it, but the response here was very good for Buckbeard. He got the deal with it cleanly, like you said, and he got a 3/3 out of it in that Mana Worm.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it before. When you're playing unfavorable matchups, which this one is unfavorable for the Druid, you need to sort of take calculated risks, and that is a risk because you're using a lot. He used half his hand in order to get an Emperor Thorsan out on turn 3. But imagine if Buckbeard didn't have a way to deal with it, a 5/5 would have lived, and he would have gotten an extra turn of reducing his hand cost, which would have included 1 more card. So
I would go as far to say as this Keeper was quite good for Buckbeard because Keeper is one of the cards that Druid will throw into a Mirror Entity because it doesn't have as much value as, say, a Druidiclaw or something. So it's usually a good option for the Druid to kind of stuff that Mirror Entity, but that's one of his keepers out the way, so his Mirror Entity might be able to pick up something a bit more valuable, but Tom does have that BGH. You may opt to use that to soak up the Mirror Entity and get a clean trade on it next turn with that 2/2.
Yeah, but we know that Buckbeard runs Dr. Boom, and with the slower version of Temple Mage, I'm guessing he runs Rag as well. So if he plays BGH in the Mirror Entity, which I think is his only choice, he actually doesn't even know what secret it is, so he has to test for it first. Alright, it is Mirror Entity. He's not going to have that later on, so could be rough. He is going to be able to clear the board here, though.
Yeah, this is pretty good clear for him.
Yeah. But he's starting to run out of cards. He's going to be able to play Cenarius next turn, but once Cenarius is gone, he needs to draw into like Ancient of Lore very quickly.
Oh, wow. A Mirror Entity play this turn would be fantastic. It might lock out the Cenarius. I mean, if Tom doesn't draw another minion to soak up the Mirror Entity, he may not have anything to play next turn. Or he may just have to give him a 5/8, and you never want to give that. I want to see a Mirror Entity here. I mean, the
Yeah.
Belcher is really tempting because it stops the BGH. He needs to commit a hero power to clear the first part of the Belcher.
Yeah.
But like I was saying earlier, turn 7, 8, 9, this is the Druid's big play turns. Stop them from playing those big cards.
Yeah. Ah, man. I don't like. I really don't like Sludge Belcher here because it allows him an easy trade into the Sludge Belcher. Yeah, it blocks damage, but I would rather have the BGH trade into my Sorcerer's Apprentice than trade into my Sludge Belcher with a hero power. Um,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
yeah, he realizes, and he's at full health. Oh well. Now Cenarius is going to come down, and Cenarius is actually going to be pretty problematic. Even though we said Tom's running out of cards, this is Tempo Mage relies on tempo, and right now he's going to be quite a bit behind on tempo. He's going to need some really big swing cards from these unstable portals, or a really powerful spell next turn, in order to try and swing this game back.
Going back to last turn, he could have played Sorcerer's Apprentice, then he could have played Mirror Entity for 2 mana, and then he could have had 2 1-mana unstable portals. So he would have gained board from Mirror Entity, and he would have recharged his hand with 2 minions from the unstable portals, which could be anything really. And he would have set up the threat of Mirror Entity, stopping him from dropping stuff to something like Cenarius this turn. So
Yeah.
I would go as far to say that was a misplay,
Yeah.
playing the Belcher
Well,
there.
this turn he can do everything again, plus add a Mana Worm on top of it. So I guess it works out, but he's going to need some big stuff. Okay, Unstable Portal. Oh
Hey.
no!
The thing you don't want to see.
Yeah. Dark Iron Dwarf could be useful. To trade up, and 1 mana 4/4 is pretty decent. But those are 2 relatively underwhelming Unstable Portals, I'd say.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we see a Keeper of the Grove here to soak up the last part of the Mirror Entity.
And a
as well.
swipe. Wow.
So first things first, let's test to see if this is a Mirror Entity, because if it's not, he probably doesn't want to throw that swipe into a counter spell.
Hmm.
Wow, he's going to get such a good clear here.
Yeah. Well, the one awkward part is by playing Keeper, he doesn't allow himself to hero power. But I don't think he can't afford to throw a swipe in and have it be counterspell. So, since he can't hero power, he's going to have to throw either his Cenarius into one of these creatures, or yeah, he's going to have to throw Cenarius into one of the creatures to clear it off, which isn't the
Yeah,
worst
that's
thing, I suppose.
No, he's still got that 5/8 sitting there, which is a bit problematic for the mage. I mean, the Firebolt doesn't deal with it cleanly. He needs to commit some other stuff to it, maybe an extra turn, maybe a hero power or a spell power buff from relying on spell power buff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit awkward. I think Tom's stabilized here as long as he starts drawing stuff, useful stuff.
Yeah. Ooh, Mad
Oh.
Scientist. I don't think he has any secrets left. He's used both Mirror Entities, unless he runs a counterspell and we just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that's true. That could some tempo mages do run counter spells, some don't. Most tempo mages do, though. I find.
Yeah. With this slower one, I'm actually not sure because I'm not as familiar with this deck as some of the faster ones that like don't run Sludge Belchers, the ones that run Mechanical Yetis, potentially Toshleys.
I really like Toshli in tempo mage. I think he doesn't fit into all of them, but the card itself, its text, just fits the deck theme so well.
Yeah.
And he's a 5/7 as well. That's a bulky minion.
Yeah, and he's not too expensive either. The one part is a lot of times that 6 slot is filled.
Yeah, Forason, Sylvanas, like those two guys. I think Forason's. If you're gonna put Toshli in, I think you'd have to take out Forason over
Yeah.
Sylvanas, because Sylvanas swings the board too much, whereas Tempo Mage might not have all the card. It might not have a full hand all the time to utilize Forason.
Yeah.
So he just runs into the Sludge Belcher here. This Dark Iron Dwarf will be able to trade into it cleanly as long as it stays alive. This Druid Claw could deal with that problem for him if he chooses, or he could just set it up as a taunt, just to kind of create a wall for the scenario. It depends which line of play he wants to take here.
Mm-hmm.
I think either one's fine.
Yeah. True to the Claw. Yeah, this one is... Unless Buckbeard can, like, draw into Flame Strike, like, this turn. Kazan Mystic is not what he wanted to see there. Now he's going to have to, like, trade in both of his creatures and play Kazan Mystic, and it doesn't even contest the full board.
It doesn't even contest Scenarius because he can just run the 2/3 and the hero power into it.
Yeah.
So Scenarius sticks around for even longer. This Scenarius is doing some work here.
Yeah, alright, and he actually doesn't run a third secret, so double mirror entity is it. So Mad Scientist is not gonna pull anything. And Lotheb as well, that's gonna pretty much secure his creatures for being able to survive the next turn, because even if he draws into something crazy here. And he can Savage Roar to clear it and just start putting on damage. Wow.
So what wins Buckbeard the game? I don't think there's anything.
Nothing. He Savage Roars and decides to trade in. Huh.
I wonder what he's afraid of there.
He knows he's not going to kill him next turn, so he's afraid of, Fireball into Fireball. But he's seen one Fireball already, huh? Because his Fireball killed his Thorsen.
Yeah, I think he could have used his health there as a tool to get rid of that Kezan and just get more board.
An Ancient of Lore to top it all off as well.
A natural mistake.
He could have had lethal if he drew into Savage Roar, I think, is why he said a natural mistake. He doesn't get punished for it. Oh no, he wouldn't have had lethal. It would have been he was at 19 health. He would have had 10 damage on board. It would have been 10 plus 7. So I mean, I guess there was no way he could have had it.
I think
you still want to draw first. Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Just to protect himself from any possible combination. Like if he drew into Archmage Antonitis plus... I don't know.
How? I don't think Tom would have lost at all if he had healed.
Emergency Coolant.
So Tom takes that game with the Druid, a class which I mentioned earlier that some players don't like in the Conquest format, but both Tom and KDG have utilized it pretty well this tournament. So it's just a hand lock left for Tom, and we still have the... Is that a Mystery Warrior still?
Mystery Warrior. We're not sure what it is yet.
So we're assuming Patron just because of its general strength in the metagame right now, but it could be Dragon Control, it could be just general control, or maybe he likes a big fan of Life Coach and he's going to play Mech Warrior, who knows?
Yeah. Mech Warrior. I've tried Mech Warrior quite a few times. Mech Hobgoblin Warrior, it's terrible. Like, I really love Hobgoblin and I really love Warrior, so I tried and put them together, and I was theory crafting, and I said, Warrior already plays a lot of really valuable one-attack creatures. Armorsmith, Acolyte of Pain, like Warbot fits right into that category. It's a mech, and it's a one-drop, or a one-attack creature.
You got Noyotron as well.
A Noyotron, it's like, it feels like it fit perfectly, but no, it's terrible.
I think the problem with Hobgoblin is it's too slow. Oh, he's going to be able to ramp some stuff out if this portal stays
Summoning
down.
Portal?
He portaled into a portal. So it's a bit of portalception there.
Okay, so Summoning Portal reduces the cost of your creatures by what? 3 or 2?
I think it's 3. I've never actually used the card outside of probably Arena. So what if he was an unstable portal into another portal and then portaled his portal out? We'd have...
That's nuts.
Christopher Nolan would love this game.
Alright, well, Summoning Portal... Oh my goodness.
The synergy!
Tom is laughing. He's like, how do I kill that thing? It's got 4 health. So next turn he could play Emperor Thorsan.
Well, if he wanted to be super aggressive, he could ping his own Worgen and start wind fearing away at this Warlock.
That's true, yeah. I think I think playing Emperor Thorson as a mage on turn 4 is pretty. Oh my goodness, this is nuts.
All right, so he plays the Forest next turn. Tom doesn't deal with the portal still, so he has the reduced cost from the portal and the reduced cost from the Forest. So he might able. Would you be able to play Rag next turn? No,
Rag on
Rag
turn.
would.
You could if both lived. Yeah, Rag would be reduced to 5, and you could play the
Well,
Rag.
Frozen.
Well, okay. So Thorsan's going to come down, and he's setting this board up for a Shadow Flame. So he's going to Shadow Flame next turn, but Emperor Thorsan will live. So it's going to get 2 turns of value.
And I think Summon Portal's done its job here, even if it does get Shadow Flamed. I mean, he's got a turn 4. He's managed to ramp out this Forest so early, and he's going to get a turn 5 Rag as well.
That is crazy.
Well, actually, no, he's going to lose the Summon Portal, my mistake, but still, he's going to get a turn 6 Rag, right?
Yeah, turn 6 Rag. It's going to be reduced this turn. Oh my goodness. And he can actually Loath up here to take out the potential for Mortal Coil, because Mortal Coil would cost 6. He'd only be on 5 mana, wouldn't be able to coin. So if he Loath-ups here,
He protects his Forest for another turn.
he protects his Thorsan for another turn. He might want to get more value out of his cards because he sees Loath-up cost 4, so he might be able to use that later on. And he might just play Azure Drake here to get more value out of the Thorsan this turn. But that is just so powerful.
I would definitely slam Loatheb here. 2 5/5s, one that will definitely be protected from any spells next turn, and then he has Rag to follow up straight after.
Yeah. Reducing the cost of Sorcerer's Apprentice is actually a big deal also, because it allows you to chain together spells that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to chain together the next turn. It's not looking too bad for Tom. He does have heals. He does have Siphon Soul for the Rag. So he does have tools, but that Rag's going to do a lot of damage before.
I was just thinking then, if he'd played Loatheb and then Frostbolted, next turn he could play Ragnaros, and then he could hit for lethal. He'd have a 50-50 lethal off the Rag shot if he played a minion.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I mean, we do see a heal bot in Tom's hand, but that could have been an option for him. That would have been a super aggressive version of Tempo Mage, but as we kind of seen from Buckbeard's deck building choices here, he's gone for more of a control-y style of Tempo Mage with those belches, so it probably doesn't really complement his playstyle, going for something like that.
Yeah. Alright, well, Loatheb comes down this turn, and he actually sets up for lethal next turn regardless. And I don't think there's a way that Tom can win from this point. He's probably going to play Healbot. And playing Healbot will put him up to 11, but Tom could just... Oh no, he's going to taunt up. Okay.
I think that's a better option, probably.
Yeah, that definitely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But I think this is lethal anyway. No, because he can't ping. Actually, no. No, it is. Yeah, it's lethal. Yeah. Frostbolt in, trade one of your creatures, throw the Sludge Belcher in, and then you have 5 damage plus the 8 from the Rag, which is 13. Alright.
Wow. Portalception.
I don't know if you could even be too upset if you're Tom in that situation. It's very rare that you see those types of really cool interactions with Unstable Portal. And you could see him when he saw the Summoning Portal at first smile, and then when he had to play the Shadow Flame on turn 4 to clear off just a Summoning Portal and a Raging Worgen, he threw out the well played and kind of laughed it off. So a really fun game, and it's going to be tied up 2-2.
I can see why Unstable Portal's your favorite card now.
Yeah, it puts interactions in the game that would never be there. It's just, it makes you, a lot of times it puts you in a situation where you have to think more. Puts you in a situation where your deck isn't optimized. You're not just playing like an optimized deck. That's why the Mage Class Challenge from...
Was it Nax?
No.
No.
BlackRock.
BlackRock.
Yeah, with the was it no, because it was a GVG card. It's
Yeah, it was a
just
black.
the most fun thing ever. 30 unstable portals.
It was like its own mini game within Hearthstone.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really cool. It was one of the coolest things they did with the kind of adventure expansions,
Mhm.
and the hunter one with the web spinners. That
Oh
was
yeah,
really
the web
cool
spinners.
as
Yeah.
well.
But getting every minion in the entire game is a little more exciting than just getting a beast. To be
Yeah, that's
fair.
true. Yeah, that's true.
Um,
So, so this is down to the wire now. It's going to be a 3-2. Both these players got 3-0'd by the respective opponents in the first round, so they've managed to take this right down to the last game. They're both going down swinging this time. So we do see a patron warrior. We were kind of umming and ahhing about what Buck was bringing because Control Warrior isn't as viable as Patron Warrior as far as meta is concerned, but it's still a good deck. Dragon Warrior can still do a lot of work, but it is Patron, and I'm not surprised to see this.
yeah. Now this matchup's a little bit rough for the Patron Warrior. A lot of players have been teching in Big Game Hunter to make their matchup against Handlock better because Handlock is one of the weaker matchups for the deck. And they do have a little wiggle room with what they can cut. So the main win condition here for the Patron Warrior is just big frothing berserkers. Getting to a turn where you can get through a top wall with execute or BGH and being able to swing for with frothing berserker on the same turn. So you have very small windows of opportunity to actually win the game with Patron Warrior when you're playing against Handlock, and it's tough. You have to sort of put yourself in a situation where you're thinking multiple turns ahead and predicting what the Handlock is going to do multiple turns in advance.
All right.
Just gonna
This
quit
is a
the
good
death bite.
Yeah, this is a good matchup for Tom. I mean, he should be pretty happy when he finds out this is Patron Warrior. But Patron Warrior is just one of those decks that can kind of squeeze a win out of anything if it's got the right combinations.
Yeah.
I find it interesting he didn't attack with the Death Bite because you kind of want that activator readily available to you at the right time rather than having to kind of maybe have to play around getting the Death Bite to come out at the correct moment. So if you kind of attack straight away, it's there and it's ready. Whereas he might have found it a bit awkward using it if he didn't have like the right plays. So, but he just attacks with it. It didn't actually matter in the end. But I find a lot of Patron Warriors want that axe set up ready to like kick off when it needs to be done.
Well, this is actually he is lethal next turn. As long as if there's no taunt, he is lethal next turn. Because he's got 4 damage from Deathbite, Frothing Berserker, Warsong Commander, Dread Corsair. So that would be at least 4 damage from 4 extra damage from the Deathbite. So that'd be 6 for the Frothing Berserker. So that'd be a total of 10. So he would just need 8 more, which both Enrages are 3 damage plus Dread Corsair. I think that's game.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Warsong Commander, Frothing Berserker, Dread Corsair. Attack with Dread Corsair. Attack with the Deathbite Whirlwind. Okay, let me do the math. So the Frothing Berserker will get an extra 5 damage from the creatures on board, so be at 7. So it's 11 damage total. 3 damage each from the Inner Rages, so that'll be 17 damage total. He'd need 5 more. Oh no, it's not quite lethal.
No, he gets an extra 1 damage from each. Oh yeah, so yeah, 3 damage. So
yeah. I think he has 19 or 20 damage. So 7 plus 11 plus 6, 17 plus... Oh, he's got 20 damage. 20 damage!
This is like... This is the Miracle Rogue days where they could dish out 20 damage on a... like, maybe not even this early, really. Not even Miracle Rogue could punch out that much damage this early on a turn 6. It still needed an extra... It needed to be like turn 8 or something for Miracle Rogue to punch out those Leroy combos. But wow, this is the reach of Patron Warrior right here. Being able to deal 20 damage on turn 6, like it's nothing.
You just armored up. Oh my god. Oh man.
He needed to do something. He needed to take him down at least 2.
Yeah. Well, that's that's pretty much game because Tom's gonna realize this, and he's almost for sure gonna taunt up. Um, and once this wall comes up, it's almost impossible for Buckbeard to get through this. Wow, 2 damage off.
That's tragic.
Yeah, well, Thorsan might open up opportunities.
He needs some executes, though. But ideally, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is tough. I
and
mean,
he's
he
already
like,
used 1 execute, so
I think what happened with Buckbeard there, he calculated the 20 damage in his head, and then by the time he'd figured it out, he's just like, oh, what do I do now? I can't beat him. I need to
yeah.
do something else. And then the rope was going down. He's like, oh, I'll just hit the armor button,
I
and
think
I'll
the only
pass.
I think the only thing he could have hoped for is that Tom didn't have a taunt giver. Like if Tom had played like a mountain giant that turn, then he would have won. Or 2 creatures or something. I don't know. Like or tapped into something. Then he would have won. Tapped into something that wasn't a taunt. But now let's see. He can play 5 mana. He can make a big battle rage play this turn.
He's got Sylvanas coming up as well. Thomas, he's just siphon sold for an extra free health, so he puts him even further out of reach now. Oh, and he gets more torn.
And he sets up lethal next turn too. So, yeah, I think that's. I don't think Buckbeard can win from this stage.
Yeah.
He's going to have to go for a big battle rage turn here and try and draw into executes and Morwinds, and he could play Warsong Commander and Grim Patron, and then Interrages, clear the board and try and draw. But he needs to go like now.
He's got a lot of card interactions that need to play through on the board, and he might run out of time if he's not careful.
Yeah, he needs to go. Like at this stage, you're going to lose anyway, so just start doing things and hope that it works out in the end. Is what needs to happen. Even the card draw from Battle Rage takes a long time.
So he needs Frothing down now, because Frothing's going to be the creature to do it.
Oh wait. Can he get through this? I don't think so. Actually, he might. Nah, he's out of time. There's no way.
He's out of time, yeah, that's true. Like you said, he needed to just think, right, he just needed to generate a quick game plan. I need to draw cards, I need to draw executes, etc., etc. Start throwing stuff down, start getting some interactions up, and see what happens. Tom looks on, not impressed.
Not impressed. Yeah, he needed to just start doing things. There was a chance that turn might have been able to resolve. Oh, and he steals the Frothing Berserker. Oh no, that's heartbreaking. And you know, he actually, if it stole the Warsong Commander, and he was able to get a second Inner Rage off, he had lethal. So there was actually a way for him to win, which is the funny thing. If he had traded in traded 1 Grim Patron, then Inner Raged, traded in the second Grim Patron, then killed the Sylvanas would have to stolen the Warsong Commander, and then he could have attacked in with the Frothing Berserker. So there actually was a lethal opportunity in there. He just didn't go quick enough. He didn't start his turn fast enough.
But I think that's part of the skill of playing Patron Warrior. There's a lot of decisions to make, and they're quite tight as well, these decisions, because you have to calculate. It's a maths deck through and through. Like when you get to that point where you need to make this big combo to win a game, you need to be really on form with your maths and decision making. You need to be able to make all the lines of play kind of in an order in your head, and then execute it in time before the rope, because you've got card interactions that need to resolve.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that after all that, he still had a chance to win, which is pretty crazy to think about. Like I just looked at it from the surface. I was like, oh, there's no way that he could do it. But he actually could have done it if he had just gone a little bit faster. But Tom is going to take 3rd place. So he gets 7 GEICO points, 1 World Championship points, and 50 Buckbeard's not going to go away empty-handed. He does take 5 Geico points and 1 Hearthstone World Championship point. But of course, next up is going to be KDG versus Mirari. That's going to be the finals of this qualifier. I think that's going to be a pretty good one.
Yeah, I think so. So we got Asia versus Europe. Who will
Yeah.
prevail? I mean, Mirari is, in respect, defending European soil here. This is an EU tournament, and KGG from Korea has come through it with his EU account, and he's managed to get to the grand final. So Mirari's not only fighting for some money and some points, Geico and World Championship, he's defending Europe here.
Yeah. Before we go on the break, we just want to give you guys a quick reminder. Big shout out to Geico for making this summer circuit possible. The premier open tournament for the summer, probably the #1 open tournament for the summer, is the One Nation of Gamers. Make sure you head over to geico.onog.gg for more information about the upcoming tournaments. You can also get a quote from Geico, and you can also enter in for a chance to win an official TSM PC. So during the break, make sure you head over to that website, get all that info. Of course, next up is going to be the finals for the EU qualifier #2. It is going to be KDG versus Mirari, but that's going to be coming up right after this break.